Hi, my name is Dita Kavdar-Basha, and I'm a proud TEAK alum. If you told me 12 years ago that I'd be back at TEAK, back at this office, at 24 years old, I don't think I'd be that surprised. Like many others before and after me, TEAK has been one of the few constants in my life. After graduating college, I returned to TEAK, to this office, to help recruit and welcome in TEAK's 23rd class of fellows. After that, I went off to Columbia Journalism School, where I just graduated with my Master's of Science this past May. Now, I'm back here again at my second home, tasked with the privilege to connect with and interview members of the TEAK Alumni Network. From doctors and lawyers and scientists, these alums are the backbone of TEAK and are testaments to TEAK's mission to unlock the potential that is inherent in all of our fellows.
I think that one of the biggest lessons that I've learned being a TEAK Fellow is most importantly, keeping your head in the books, challenging yourself to the best of your capabilities, but also understanding the power of relationships.
As a seventh grader, I learned what community meant, being with a group of eager and motivated New York City kids who didn't let their income be a deterrent to wanting to succeed and learn.
I was inspired by the intelligence, the wit, the ambition, and confidence of my friends and fellow TEAK Fellows. And one thing that I loved most about TEAK was that it was a diverse, robust network.
And there are so many different types of memories that I can think of that has strengthened me as a better person, as a better individual.
I'm really thankful for TEAK for allowing me really to take up space, to understand that I'm valuable, that I bring value exactly how I am.
Like academia in STEM is pretty cutthroat. And it's been really important to kind of hold the value of being like authentic and kind of knowing when to stand up for yourself in those spaces. And so I think TEAK had a big part to do with that.
Because I am a Black female in medicine, and I realized that, the college age, that there weren't many opportunities for people who look like me or people who came from similar backgrounds as me. I wanted to make those opportunities available to other students and fellows who were interested in pursuing a career in medicine.
And I'm grateful that TEAK really instilled that sense of value in me, that sense of community and service and giving back.
One of the biggest kind of lessons that I've learned through being a part of the TEAK Fellowship has been the lesson of taking positive risks.
That's the beauty about TEAK, that it teaches you to lean into the uncomfortable.
It really showed us that trying out different things actually help you navigate this world better, right? It helps you understand what you can know, what you have access to, where you're welcomed, and also what you don't know. And that gave me the confidence to step into what I didn't know.
It also teaches you to let go of some of your plans. I'm currently an executive assistant for the president of NBC News. And if you asked me if I'd be doing this 10 years ago, I would have laughed. I'm incredibly happy that I'm in the place that I am, even if it's somehow off the plan.
A number of the internships I took were also based on positive risks as well.
I was a senior in college studying engineering at Columbia when TEAK reached out to me to do some graphic design work. At that point, graphic design was just a hobby that I started. I never thought of it as a potential career path until that moment when someone believed in me, and my career changed completely since then.
I came into boarding school and college with a sort of a slight interest in law, and TEAK really took and ran with it.
TEAK had my back before I even knew and kind of let me enter the professional world way earlier and really set me up for success.
TEAK actually arranged my first experience in the medical field where I was not the patient. I'm still grateful for that to this day.
I believe that shadowing TEAK staff was really, really foundational for the success that GIG, the Girls Education Initiative of Ghana, has been able to have in the last 7 years.
I got my interest in doing scientific research from one of my internships at TEAK, and I got really excited at the idea of being able to do research at my job now, where I get to help make life-saving medicines for other people, which I think is super rewarding.
When I first started the TEAK Fellowship, I feel like it made community service a very big part of my life. I feel like being a pediatrician is a lot of community service, and I feel like I'm serving my patients every single day.
TEAK has helped me tremendously in my life.
TEAK has been one of the few constants in my life, and I am deeply grateful for it.
And I owe a lot of credit to the TEAK Fellowship for getting me here.
When I was like 10 or 11, I remember thinking like, you know what, I'm gonna buy my parents a house sometime in my life. And I got to buy my parents a house in 2019.
I feel like TEAK has played a huge part in getting me here. So I'm super grateful to TEAK.
It was a long journey, but I definitely achieved the goal, and it was really all thanks to TEAK. TEAK means a lot to me, and I'm really grateful that I've been able to be a fellow.
Hey, welcome to the 2021 Be Inspired TEAK Gala. My name is Malik. You may know me from some of my work here at TEAK. It is an honor and a privilege to be with you here tonight on this very important occasion. And first, I would love to introduce a student of mine, one of the greatest students, Jocelin, reading a poem of hers. Check it out.
Not everyone can be a phoenix and rise. To endure suffering takes a lot of will. Just to see the sun another morning and survive the trauma and truth that fills our ears with words we refuse to hear about how civilians are being shot, how the elderly are being beaten for their race, our innocent brothers are being pinned down and caught just because of baseless assumptions that took place. However, as dark and daunting as the world is, a balance and cycle still exists. To ensure we don't lose all the battles that we fought, the world gave each of us all invaluable gifts, called a conscience and a voice. With these, we make certain the world doesn't shift, that we do not feel regretful of our choice, with remorse humming and the echoes of our heartbeats, about the changes we could have made to make sure justice is served out in the streets, that attention is given to those who seek aid, so that they can have equal opportunities and the courage they need to help reform our world with a stronger sense of unity. Do not linger under the dim illuminations of the past, but rather embrace the incoming warmth of the future. Since every storm runs out of rain in contrast with the immortal hearth that burns and nurtures, a blooming phoenix that arises anew after enduring the hellish flames of reality and resurfaces, soaring back up and towards the sun it flew with a majestic demeanor and with purpose.
That was amazing, Jocelin. And interesting fact, the music behind that was also done by Zahali, a teakster from a couple of summers ago who was in my class, and we got to working on music and production, and I'm so proud of him. But Jocelin has come so far. Jocelin was one of the more shy kids, and after the time we spent, made sure that I knew she wanted her voice to be heard, and was always a great writer, and is a perfect example of the transformative experiences that these kids get at TEAK. And I'm extremely proud of her.
Thank you, Malik. Good evening. I'm Marc Becker, Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the TEAK Fellowship. It's nice to be together, even if virtually, after two challenging yet productive and rewarding years that have demonstrated TEAK excellence. In the face of adversity, our fellows and their families have endured, persevered, and risen up in ways that have made me prouder than ever to lead this incredible institution. On behalf of the board, I thank our amazing scholars and their incredible families for inspiring all of us to be our very best. As you're likely aware, TEAK searches New York City every year to find the best and brightest middle school students from the most underserved neighborhoods to join our 10-year fellowship. These scholars, hungry for the opportunity to get the education they deserve, are passionate and driven, sacrificing their summers, holidays, and outside activities to pursue their dreams of attending the nation's best high schools and colleges. This past year may have looked a little different, with fellows having attended most classes and programs online rather than in person. But the dedication from the teachers, the deans, and the students didn't wane, and neither did their successes. And I'm pleased to say our fellows are now back in person this fall. While every fellow has their unique story and the path to change their trajectory, lift up their communities, and make a difference in the world, I'll share just a couple of recent statistics. In 2021, in spite of all the challenges that disproportionately affected the families which TEAK serves, 100% of TEAK Fellows have been accepted into top independent and New York City screened high schools, earning over $7 million in financial awards. Additionally, 100% of TEAK scholars matriculated to four-year colleges this fall. TEAK's college guidance team made certain that fellows still received over 40 hours of SAT prep, virtual tours of campuses across the country, and virtual interviews with admissions counselors at the nation's top universities and colleges. The results? 100% of fellows gained admission to highly selective colleges, with about 40% earning admission to Ivy League institutions, and over 92% of tuition covered through financial awards. Our fellows will graduate from college without the burden of huge student loans to pay back while trying to navigate their careers. I could continue to give you more numbers and statistics, and I know they would impress you, but to me, the most important thing to share with you are the inspirational moments, the inspiring stories about our scholars and alumni that truly make them TEAK Fellows. TEAK's commitment to developing model citizens and future leaders has always been integral to our program. And over the past year and a half, these principles have been put into practice. Take Angela Osei Ampadu, for example, who was forced to return home from Deerfield Academy due to the pandemic in March of 2020. Angela did not sit idly watching her single mother, a nurse in the Bronx, on the front lines facing the tireless hours battling COVID without proper PPE. Instead, Angela sprung into action. She sourced masks and other protective gear from across the globe and then set up her own not-for-profit to distribute the life-saving supplies. Her efforts have served as a model for other young people on high school campuses across the country. If you didn't get a chance to watch the video interview with Angela during the cocktail portion of this evening, be sure and check it out. The links you will receive in the recap email tomorrow. Angela's story is impressive, but she's one of many TEAK Fellows and alumni that are working hard to lift up communities, make sure the voices of those who don't have a platform are heard, and inspire others on their campuses or workplaces to make a difference in this world. TEAK Fellows and their families are living proof of our belief, our mission, that motivation and potential, not economic circumstances, should determine one's future, our shared future. I'm constantly amazed and humbled by our fellows, as well as those of you who committed your time and resources to our incredible cause. Thank you, and thank you for your support and for helping us make a difference. We couldn't do it without you.
So as we continue, as many of you may know, recently our executive director for the past 6.5 years retired and moved to New Hampshire. John left his imprint and his huge impact on this organization, and we move into the future a better organization because he was such a great leader, such a great role model, and such a mentor to so many of us. So we put together a little video tribute to show, to tell him how special he was.
So tomorrow's your last day. What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to what I look forward to every single day, getting to work. Ready?
So,
I actually appreciate you catching me mid-pretzel bag rather than that interesting looking vegan contraption I got through yesterday. It was just a salad. Right here, let me see. Take slow, deep breaths. Listen to soothing music. Do some yoga. Soak in a warm bath. Mindful meditation. I have a long way to go. A long way to go. This is a low moment. I'm walking bedraggled into Michelle's office and giving up the key. Whether you be board members, next-gen board members, alumni, staff, former staff, students, parents, I mean, thank you all. There's just this wonderful, eclectic variety of constituencies, all rallying around the importance of a mission and of a cause that is extraordinarily important and success that is desperately needed. I mean, I'm not ready to give I'm the luckiest man in the world speech, but maybe second luckiest.
As the founder of the TEAK Fellowship 23 years ago, I had hopes and dreams for this organization that were this big, but you've taken us to the sky.
So my farewell message to John Green is,
pick up a couple hobbies, please. I appreciate everything you did personally. Excited to keep in touch down the line. And we'll always have the 2019 San Francisco Giants.
Thank you so much, John, for all you've done for TEAK and for all of us. Really appreciate it. Really excited for you to actually get to sit down and relax and enjoy your time. I know it's going to be hard for you, but
we're not convinced that you're actually going to stay retired.
I hope that you get some rest finally in your retirement and that you don't start another job.
Back in 2018, when you hired me, one of the things that you told me was, you know what, James? I can really see myself mentoring you. And, you've done that completely throughout these 3 years that I've been here in TEAK. And I want to thank you for that because it's really helped me grow professionally, personally, in all different levels.
I know I've reached out for your advice even since I left TEAK, but my time working with you was incredible and I learned and grew so much.
What I'm going to miss most of all is your sense of humor and just the way in which you are so down to earth and so ready to get your hands dirty in the field with us, with our students. So
I just wanted to say thank you. Every time I'm around you, I feel like I get nuggets of gold about being an educator, but more important, just being a human being. You're a great leader. I aspire to be like you when I grow up, and I'll see you along the way. Thank you for everything you've given me. Change is in the air, and as John Green retires, we are so fortunate to have landed on our feet with a brand new, amazing executive director, Dr. Denise Brown Allen, affectionately known as DBA. So I will let her introduce herself to you now.
Good evening. When I was a newly appointed upper school director at an independent school in New Jersey, I asked my head of school what advice he would give me as I transitioned into the new leadership position. He said, "Be prepared to listen and drink a lot of coffee." Since I received that advice, I've given up on drinking coffee. I like my matcha green tea. But 2 jobs later, I haven't given up the advice to start by listening. Over the past 3 months, I've listened to heads of school, admission directors, TEAK staff, past and present, board members, fellows from class 3 to class 24, parents, TEAK alums, seasoned nonprofit CEOs. Lots of tea and lots of stories. I have heard from school leaders that TEAK has a strong reputation in the independent school world. Our fellows are sought after for their level of academic readiness, their character, and their willingness to contribute to their school communities. TEAK staff is known for their integrity and commitment to their fellows. Parents are ever grateful for the opportunities that TEAK provides their children, and they are equally grateful for the level of respect they are given by TEAK staff and the trust the staff has earned throughout their relationship. Fellows tell stories about the incredible support systems that TEAK provides, and most importantly, the relationships that sustain them during their academic journey. Being encouraged to apply to a college by their TEAK dean when they did not have the support of their school. A dean who encouraged a fellow to seek mental health counseling. A dean who was the source of comfort after the loss of a parent. A mentor who provided inspiration when they were about to give up. The more I learn about TEAK, the more I think about my work in independent schools where, with the best intentions, we admitted students who did not thrive in our institutions, students who were bright, capable, and came to us with much promise. Students who we believed would make it, but whose commutes were too long and their support systems were inadequate or non-existent. Leaving students often to make it on their own and demoralizing these promising stars in the process. We often speak of the wealth gap with respect to equity in education, but we must also speak of the capacity gap, the capacity to provide the support every student needs to succeed. In independent schools, it's more than just access, it's ensuring students have the resources to make it through. While whether or not I worked was not an option when my husband and I were raising our sons, I did have the privilege of an education that afforded me a choice of careers. A career that afforded me the flexibility of working in essence in 2 shifts, 8 to 4, 10 to midnight, so I could get my sons to club sports practice, music lessons, a car to drive them there, a warm bowl of pasta to eat on the way, Wi-Fi, a laptop, and cell phone per person when we got home. Between my husband and me, we had the capacity to run our sons to the 24-hour Staples or Kinko's to make copies or buy supplies for the presentation they forgot, call the words on their flashcards, listen to them recite that speech, help them proof that paper. When the average household income for a TEAK family is $50,000 and the average family size is 4, yes, that's $12,000 per person, you can do the math, there isn't much wiggle room for extras like tutoring and enrichment programs, especially given the average rent in New York City is 4 times the national average, and many parents must work 2 jobs just to make ends meet. So how does TEAK ensure the capacity of a family to support their children in their quest for an excellent education? You do it with deans, mentors, high school and college placement counselors, internships, access to test prep, and tutoring. You don't level the playing field, you surround the field with coaches, cheerleaders, parents, aunts and uncles, deans and mentors, teachers, ready to tap in with what is needed. And since we've accepted the responsibility for ensuring an excellent education for every TEAK Fellow, we must hold the institutions entrusted with their academic growth accountable for providing a learning environment where they can be both physically and emotionally safe to take intellectual risks and thrive. That means inquiring about the implementation of the diversity, equity, and inclusion action plans that promise to move institutions from being integrated schools to anti-racist institutions where all students, regardless of their racial and ethnic backgrounds, know they belong. And if there's no progress, no movement, we must ask them why and remind them that our fellows deserve the same level of respect and safety as their peers on these campuses. Our youngest TEAK Fellows arrive at our offsites after school filled with energy and enthusiasm after a full day of school, ready to study some more. They are with their people, other fellows who love learning and are willing to make the sacrifices to participate in our middle school programming and complete 2 sets of homework each week. Our students and their families believe that the sacrifices are worth it, and the journey will lead to the achievement of their dreams and the betterment of their communities. As we prepare to welcome TEAK's 25th class, we must promise that we will not only invest in them, we will also invest in changing the systems that undermine their success, that failed to provide them with the financial resources to gain access to an excellent education, as well as the capacity and support systems necessary for them to succeed in and beyond the classroom. I thank you for your continued support of the TEAK Fellowship, our students, their parents, our staff, and our vision.
Thank you so much, DBA. That was such an inspiring speech. And speaking of inspiring, we have Robert Kalsow-Ramos as our next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Robert Kalsow-Ramos, and I'm a TEAK board member, mentor, and professional coach, and have been involved with the organization for the last 8 years. Tonight I have the pleasure of presenting this year's Corporate Honoree Award to a true TEAK champion, Paul Weiss. I've had the pleasure of working directly with many of the members of the Paul Weiss team, including Brad Karp, Tori Zeitzer, Greg Esvering, and Marc Loiseau, among many others in my role at Apollo. I've also had the pleasure to serve as a co-chair of the TEAK Next Generation Board with Lisette Duran, an associate at Paul Weiss and TEAK alumna from Class 2. I'd like to share with you a quote from Lisette regarding her experience working at Paul Weiss. I started at Paul Weiss because of TEAK. They gave me a chance to work as a receptionist during the summers following my junior and senior years in high school. I knew then at 17 and 18 that I wanted to start my legal career there after graduating from Columbia Law, and that's just what I did. Since then, I've pretty much done everything but cook, but I continue to feel that Paul Weiss has the best people. From the staff and reprographics to the retired partners who occasionally roam the halls, everyone's willing to lend a hand, help you grow, and fight the good fight. It's been an absolute privilege to work with the brilliant and caring folks at Paul Weiss on some of the most complex, interesting, and important cases of our time. As you can see, Paul Weiss's involvement goes far beyond financial support and dates back to 2003. Since then, numerous employees have served as mentors to TEAK's youngest fellows. The firm has also hosted 10 TEAK interns over the years, including Lisette when she was a fellow, providing high school and college students with enriching summer employment opportunities, exposing them to working in a professional environment and the legal field. I am honored and grateful to have this opportunity to present the 2021 Corporate Honoree Award to Paul Weiss, a true TEAK champion.
Good evening. My name is Brad Karp, and I'm the chair of the Paul Weiss Law Firm. I'm honored to accept the TEAK Corporate Honoree Award on behalf of my colleagues at Paul Weiss. Our firm's involvement with the TEAK Fellowship over the past 18 years has provided my colleagues with opportunities to engage with some of the brightest and most deserving New York City students through mentorship, internships, and networking opportunities. We are proud to have a member of our firm, Amran Hussein, dedicate her time and expertise to TEAK through board service, mentorship, and legal counsel. Amran has been a member of TEAK's board since 2016 and currently co-heads TEAK's Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee. Amran is a wonderful partner of mine, and she speaks so passionately about TEAK and its achievements. Our commitment to TEAK is not just a one-way street. Paul Weiss is lucky to have 2 TEAK alumni on our team, Lisette Duran, an associate who works in our sustainability and environmental, social, and governance advisory practice, and our newest addition, Sharad Gorham, is a litigation paralegal with a bright future ahead of him. Paul Weiss is deeply committed to the work that TEAK is doing to open the doors for deserving young people, and we are honored to be recognized tonight for our partnership. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for this recognition. I really appreciate it.
And now, before we wrap up our evening, we have one more really inspiring speaker for you. And this speaker is very close to my heart because he was in my class. And I'm sure he's going to do so much of what I taught him. Yes, I'm going to claim credit. This young man is nothing short of impressive. I'm so honored to present to you Jonny Gonzalez.
Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I'm honored to speak tonight on behalf of the TEAK Fellowship. I'm currently in my second year at Columbia University, and I am a proud member of Class 17. Of course, many of us who graduated in 2020 didn't have our traditional high school graduations. Some, like me, don't know when or even if they will happen at all. It's incredible to think I spent 4 years in high school, and it's even crazier to think I've been a part of TEAK for almost double that. I still remember when I received my TEAK acceptance offer in the mail. To be honest with you, I had no idea what I was signing up for. I didn't know I would receive a 30 out of 100, surprisingly D-, on a quote identification quiz on King Lear from Malik's Shakespeare class. I also, with deep shame, never told anyone this, not even my mom. Perdón, ma. You see, I am not lying when I say that my middle school years for TEAK were some of the most challenging in my life, but that does not mean they weren't the most meaningful. In those years, Sarah Demers, one of my favorite teachers at TEAK, gave me advice that has stayed with me ever since. Learn how to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Those words were exactly what I needed to hear as I moved on to CHOAT. When I was in 9th grade, I was just a poor, shy kid from Brooklyn. How could I stack up against my peers who grew up with tutors, multiple houses, and fathers? I never truly felt comfortable in Wallingford, Connecticut. I often felt out of place. I was also microaggressed, not only by my peers, but also by a billionaire when, after telling him I was from Brooklyn, he asked, "Son, how did you get out of trouble?" My story, though, will not be dictated by others. I became a prefect for over 70 freshmen, a mentor for students of color, and a leader in sustainability for my student body. Besides all else, I do have fond memories of CHOAT, whether that be spontaneous trips to Walmart or leading a stargazing activity for the astronomy club. There, I was getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And that all started with TEAK and those who love us. Speaking of those who love me unconditionally, I want to take the time to thank my mother. Everything I am today is because of her. She's shown me through passion and perseverance, I can make something of myself. I am almost there, Mommy. We just got to hold on for a little more. You see, adversity will always be around the corner, waiting to hinder our success or limit the impact we can make. However, that doesn't mean we should ever stop trying to make change. And if you take away anything from what I say tonight, let it be this. The biggest risk in life is never taking one. To all of us, my TEAK Fellows, let us be that change together.
Wow, Jonny. Well, thank you all for being with us this evening. We hope you enjoyed yourself, and we can't wait to see you in person, in real life, next year. Continue to be inspired. TEAK 2021, we out.
Sorry.